We've all been there, at least most of us have, where we're do as we're told and we watch life pass us by. You went to high school? Check. Finished college? Check. Working on a 5 job? Check. And now you're looking at the world around you, wondering what the hell is going on. The economy is shit and the American dream seems more like a nightmare. You paid your dues and yet you have nothing to show for it. No house, no career you're passionate about, and you sit alone in your studio apartment staring at 4 walls. You allow time to pass you by scrolling aimlessly on Instagram and X, hoping that things will get better and change, but the truth is, it won't. Meaning the world is going to get a lot worse before it gets better. And I don't mean that to sound like a pessimist, but with the economy going downhill, we are seeing more and more people feel the side effects of it all.
50, 60, 70 grand a year. Money that used to be party time. It barely covers the bills now.
I don't understand anymore. I don't understand how I make $34 an hour and I can't function. I can't function. I can't pay my bills. I can't even literally keep gas in my car to get to work 3 days a week.
Okay, things in this country are just going too far. Inflation is out of control. I can't even afford my rent anymore. They want me to go back into the office, and that's just going to take more time and money away from me. I can't keep doing this. I think we actually need to do something about this. Maybe a strike or something. Hey, guys, guess what? What? Aliens exist.
The cost of living is high, it's become more difficult to buy food, a home, and gas prices are through the roof. Things have gotten so bad that you can't even afford to leave. Life just throws constant curveballs at you and you just can't seem to get ahead. It's modern day slavery. You're forced to work your meaningless job day by day just so you can keep up with your bills. This very same job has drained away your passion for life, and it would be worth it if you were paid well, but it only allows you to just get by. But you're not alone. Actually, over 73% of millennials are living paycheck to paycheck. So you work your job and pay 30% of your income to the government. Meanwhile, the government sends your hard-earned money to foreign countries for wars and pay for immigrants' housing. You, the citizen, are left with a check and life doesn't seem to be getting any better. While you're trying to figure out how you're going to pay for this month's rent, the government has sent over $100 billion to Ukraine. Cities like Chicago and New York have spent millions of dollars on illegal immigrants so they can eat and sleep in renovated schools and police stations. And just recently, Joe Biden signed a $95 billion foreign aid bill to help efforts in Israel and Ukraine, leaving you, the taxpayer, with a tab. While I do have sympathy for people around the world, I find it more unfortunate to watch Gen Z and millennials go through such economic crisis, many of which are deciding to move back in with their parents, and I do not blame them. Who can afford $1,900 in rent?
In June 2022, American workers made an average of $27.45 per hour. In 1972, the same workers earned an average of $3.88 per hour. A chart like this might make it seem like America has come a long way in terms of wage growth, but when adjusted for inflation, wages have remained virtually unchanged over the last 50 years, with workers today earning just 12 cents more than they did in 1972. With inflation at its highest since 1981, Americans are feeling the pain of slow wage growth. 2/3 of American workers said that inflation has outpaced any salary gains made in the past year.
And let's not forget that incomes are rising slower than the cost of living. Wage stagnation has been a major problem recently. Since the early 1970s, the hourly inflation-adjusted wages received by the typical worker has only risen by 0.2% per year. While the cost of living has risen, wages have barely moved, leaving most Americans struggling, and it's even worse for those people living in the cities. While millennials' income is greater than Gen X, their wealth is much less than theirs, and wealth is even less than that of the boomers. Our grandparents could afford to buy their houses with a $12,000 income. And this is why you won't be able to afford that home on your singular source of income. And statistically speaking, most millennials will never own a home.
If you look back to 1980, the rent was $243. Minimum wage was $3.10, meaning your monthly gross was $496. So to rent this apartment, it would be 48.9% of your gross income back in 1980. But let's fast forward to 2024. The average rent is $17.47. The federal minimum wage is $7.25, giving you $11.60. You can't even get an apartment with the federal minimum wage. But let's be generous. generous and double the federal minimum wage because people at Walmart and fast food joints are making $14.50 to $15. So $14.50 would bring you to $23.20, and it'd be 75% of your gross income, making double the federal minimum wage in 2024. But let's take it even a step further. ZipRecruiter said that starting pay for college graduates is $24 an hour. So that would be $38.40 a month. Someone with a bachelor's degree could afford this one-bedroom apartment, but it would be 45.4% of their gross income. A college graduate is spending the same amount of their income on rent as the minimum wage worker in 1980 did.
But let's not stop there. In 1975, the average income was $11,800. In 2024, it's $59,384. That's a times 5 increase. In 1975, housing was $42,000. In 2024, it's $495,100. That's a times 11 increase. In 1975, rent was $211. In 2024, it's $1,900. That's a times 9 increase. In 1975, in-state tuition was $542. In 2024, it's $9,595. That's a times 17 increase. In 1975, average minimum wage was $2.10. In 2024, it's $7.25. That's a times 3 increase. In 1975, a car cost $4,800. In 2024, it's $44,052. That's a times 9 increase. In 1975, foods like the Big Mac only cost 65 cents. In 2024, it now costs $5.69. That's a times 9 increase. In 1975, gas cost 57 cents. In 2024, it's $3.44. That's a times 6 increase. So the moral of the story is, if you want to survive today, you better build a time machine and go back in the past to make your money. And this is the reason why Gen Z believes they need to make $171,000 to feel financially stable. Rent, travel, and especially food has significantly increased even over the past few years after the pandemic.
2 years ago, for the whole month worth of groceries, 45 items cost $126. A whole month of groceries just for me, basically. But I did notice this reorder all button, and I wanted to see how much it would cost now. Now, this order of 45 items for 1 month would have cost $414. That is 4 times more. How the fuck? How? Like, what?
But why is it like this, you might ask? Well, the cost of living today is significantly higher than it was in the 1970s and 1980s due to a combination of things. The main 4 things being inflation, globalization, social changes, and technology. With inflation, over time, the value of money decreases, the price of goods and services increase. While prices have increased, wages have not kept pace with inflation, leading to a decline in real purchasing power for many people. With technology, we've become more dependent on it. Modern technologies such as smartphones, internet access, and other gadgets have become essentials, adding new expenses that didn't exist in the past. The rapid pace of technology means more frequent replacement and upgrades, increasing costs. Yes, these technologies are luxuries, but some are also mandatory if you want to compete in the marketplace at least. These new expenses are some that most of our parents and grandparents didn't have to worry about, like paying for Wi-Fi, cell phone services, and laptops. While globalization has reduced the cost of some goods, it has introduced vulnerabilities and cost fluctuations due to international economic conditions. Global competition has led to higher standards for products and services, often increasing costs of living. And with social changes, these changes in societal norms and expectations have led to higher spending in areas such as dining out, entertainment, and personal care. Family dynamics is also a factor in this social change. Increase in single-parent households and dual-income families have changed spending patterns and increased costs for childcare and household management. It's simpler to take care of a house when you have 2 sources of income opposed to 1. So if you feel like a failure, perhaps it's not all your fault. So you're probably asking yourself, what can I do about it? Well, you're not completely cooked. But do not depend on policymakers or the government to bail you out, or you'll be left disappointed. Now more than ever, individuals have been figuring out ways to make money online, whether it's through content creation, selling a product or a course. The United States millionaire population grew by 7.3% last year, and that's thanks to AI. Something else that can be done is saving and cutting costs. I know it doesn't sound sexy on paper, but saving money and cutting down on expenses has been proven to be something that wealthy and rich people do. You can find a better job. People who search for jobs tend to make more money over time. The reason being that going to a new job allows for individuals to negotiate higher pay than their previous jobs. And lastly, avoid spending using credit cards. The national credit card debt has been increasing to record numbers and is speculated to be the reason why we haven't had a recession yet because of the constant spending. But just make sure you're not the individual who's constantly spending and using them. Credit card debt APR has been steadily increasing over the past years, which will make it almost impossible to ever pay off. We can complain all day, but what are you going to do about it?